Hi guys, it's me Pixie here with my lovely assistant Toby, and today I'm going to show you how to change your doll's parts. More often than not, in owning a BJD, you're going to have to at some point change your doll's parts. Whether it's just hands because of different hand styles, or changing feet from normal feet to high heel parts, all the way to changing into fantasy parts like Toby has here. Okay, first things first, you're going to need a few things. Now, I don't have the professional tools, I'm just showing you how to do it as a beginner who doesn't have the funds or the knowledge of the proper tools to restring. So, what I like to use, and all these things are pretty readily accessible, you won't have to order them online. You need a ribbon or a string. If you can get a hold of some, a pair of small needle nose pliers, and something cylindrical like a pencil or a pen, just to keep the elastic from zipping back up into the legs or whatever. I use actually a glue gun stick because it doesn't leave marks on the doll because it's clear and soft and it's just plastic, and I find this is a really good thing to use. And of course, you're going to need your doll with his or her normal parts that you want to change. And you're going to need your extra parts. So first, I'm just going to go over how to change quickly a hand or a foot if you're putting high heel feet or a different pair of hands on. And from there, I'm going to go on to changing into fantasy parts, which is a little more tricky. So I'm going to start with a foot, just to show you it's the same method for both hands and feet, and I'm just going to show you really quickly how to do one side as if you would be changing a hand or a foot. So the first thing you're going to do is pull the foot out. You can see the S hook in the foot until you have enough elastic that you can grab with a little bit of slack so that it's easy to pull the S hook off. Now this is where I like to use my pliers because I have very clumsy fingers, so I just use my needle nose pliers to pull the S hook off, and then quickly try to get the elastic as taut as you can. I'm going to slide my ribbon through so I don't lose the elastic up the leg. So then you'll have something like this, which is quite odd, and you can, if you want, just pull this up and shove the glue stick in the elastic and then let it go so that it doesn't fly up, but I find that if you're just doing this really quick, you don't really need to do that. So I'm just going to make sure my elastic's taut, and at this point I would just take my new foot and hook the S hook into here. And it's the same method for hands. So I'm not really going to go into that in too much depth because it's extremely easy. So I'm just going to go right ahead and show you how to do fantasy parts. So now that you have your ribbon in, you can let go of the tension, and you're going to pull the lower leg off as well. And make sure you don't lose your S hooks. That's probably the worst thing that can happen. So you're going to put your parts aside, and on most Zoom dolls that have fantasy parts, the thigh part does not change. On the new Affy and I, it does change. They have a separate thigh part, I believe, but on most Zoom dolls, tinies and large, the thigh part stays the same, and as well as this joint here. So from here, you're going to take, inside most of the parts, it tells you if it's a left or a right. So I'm looking at the right here. So you're going to take your fantasy lower leg, and you're going to thread the ribbon right through. Now, you got to make sure the ends are even. It makes it a lot easier. Ignore my cat, please. You're just going to thread the ribbon right through the part and pull it all the way up into place in the knee. And you want to try to make sure the elastic tension on both sides is the same. If you find this leg's really tight, you can even it out when you do the second leg by pulling that leg a little tighter. And now, okay, the tricky part here is with the feet, because Zoom parts have this small hole in the bottom where you're going to have to pull the elastic through the foot and then hook an S hook on. And make sure you keep your S-hooks in a small bag so you don't lose them. I actually kept mine in the bag that Sue sent them in. There's just 2 spare S-hooks here. So what I do, I just thread the foot on loosely, like so. And I'm sorry I can't go into too much detail here, I only have 10 minutes. So we just are going to loosely thread that on. You can see it's very wobbly, but just make sure you have the right parts on the right side. And usually you can tell because the toe on the feet gives it away, but the thigh part, the lower leg part's a bit different. So now what you're going to do is pull your elastic taut. Make sure your parts are all together. If they're not, they will go together. See, his foot just flipped on me, but I can fix that. And also be careful if you have the parts blushed, you don't really want to ruin the blushing. So now you have your elastic at the bottom, and this would be a good time to put your glue stick through, but I'm just going to use my pliers because I don't have enough slack. So I'm just going to let it rest like that. I have the nose of the pliers through the elastic. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my S-hooks. And I'm going to pull up my elastic so I have a small loop that I can hook the S-hook onto. And just hook it on and slowly release it into the foot. And be really careful with that because the S-hooks can bite. So make sure you take your time. It's not a rush to do this, just take your time. So now you have one foot and you can now see the difference. So I'm just going to quickly do the other foot and then I'll show you how to do his wing parts. And I'm going to show you how to do arms. It's basically the same process but smaller. And the elastic usually isn't quite as tricky. So again, it's basically the same method as the feet. And now I'm going to show you how to put his wings on. So, same method, holding the ribbon. And with Alcaneri, they have 3-part wings, which is basically the same as arms. The arms are usually in 3 parts as well. And the wings are also assigned, they say L or R inside, so just look for that. Usually on hands you can tell because of the thumbs, but on a part like legs and wings it's a little more tricky to decipher at first glance. So I have my first wing part and I'm just going to pull the elastic through a little bit. So there's the first bit. And that would also be the first bit of your new arm if you're changing out entire arms. Then you're going to take your second bit. So once I've got the second bit of the wing on, which would basically be like the forearm, the wings on Alcaneri come with a little bar of resin with the S-hook, and just be really careful, you don't want the S-hook to fall out. So you're going to just pull your elastic tight, as usual, so you have that little loop right here. And you can pretty much just hook. It is a bit tricky because the S-hook likes to slide back. You can just hook the wing on there and gently let go. And then you pull your ribbon out. So now you have one wing. Or one arm. In the case of just changing hands, it's basically the same thing as changing feet. You just take off the original hand. Make sure you have something to keep your elastic from zipping inside the arm socket, and just hook your new hand on. So I'm just going to change his second wing, and then we're all done. Okay, so now Toby is back to his normal, adorable self. I hope this tutorial helped you a little bit. I'm sorry I had to go through it so quickly. If there's anything that you'd like explained in better detail, or you'd like to see again, because I know my hands are in the way a lot of the time, please let me know, and I'm sure I can do a video on my normal channel. So keep an eye out there, just in case. Thanks for watching. I hope you have an easy time changing out your doll's parts. Bye!